All right. So Dan Hernandez, you are the director of Parks and Recreation, but I also noticed that you have MPA at the end. What does that stand for?
Masters of Public Administration. That's my master's degree from California State Northridge.
Oh, okay. It has nothing to do with parks.
No, it's more of a government degree, executive government degree.
Okay. All right. Then.
My bachelor's is in recreation administration.
So you did did you? And you didn't do a doctorate, but you did a.
I did a master's, not a doctorate.
Because a doctorate, you can't do a doctorate in that degree, can you?
You can, but
Okay.
I'm not going into teaching, so there's no reason to get a doctorate.
Okay, so doctorate is just more or less for the teaching part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you to, well, I have to put my glasses on, so I have to keep putting them on and off. What is your background? I know your background, but kind of just tell me what your background is. You've said it's been 38 years.
Actually, longer than that. I started as a part-time Parks and Rec leader in 1980. So I started full-time in November of 85. So however many this will be my 37th year full-time.
Okay, and you started out as a rec assistant, you said?
As a part-time recreation assistant.
And you were a young lad, obviously. What made you want to do that? Was it just because the job presented itself?
Yeah, the job presented itself. I just worked the summer before with the Forest Service, and I didn't really want to go back to that.
Okay.
And yeah, I was just looking for work, and I got a job with the City of Glendale and the Glendale YMCA, so I was working for both.
So you literally worked yourself up.
Yeah.
Literally. Did it take you very long to get from step to step?
When I got my bachelor's degree in 84,
okay,
and it took me, and then I got my full, I was working at the YMCA. They offered me a full-time job in September of 85, September, October, but I was interviewing for full-time positions in Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So they offered me a job, and shortly thereafter I got this Santa Barbara City job, and so I left and took that one.
Okay, so it was just because it was more pay, or because it was closer to home? What enticed you about it?
It was a little bit more pay, and it was away from home, and it was Santa Barbara.
It's away from home in Santa Barbara. Okay. What do you find is your most valuable? What do you have most valuable in your career, education, or experience? Which is more valuable to you? Do you think your career, your education?
It's a combination. It's
Yeah.
a combination.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned a lot in my master's program about the intricacies of working in government, but I spent a lot of time in the field, so I understand what it's like to be working out in the field as well. So it was a good combination of both.
Where did you learn, Dan, how to deal with the commissioners and politicians? I mean, does any education ever get you prepared for that?
No, not really.
So that was the experience.
Yeah. I mean, some of it was just trial by fire. I mean, initially,
Okay.
and having to learn how the system works, and then as I got higher in my positions, learning how to keep my personal feelings in check. Because once you become more of an executive in government, you got to learn to taper your personal feelings.
Yeah.
Because it's a political realm. I'm a bureaucrat. My job is to implement the policies given to me, not to force policies on anybody.
Did you ever have any big major problems, like with any politicians? Did you ever regret saying something or not saying something?
All the time.
All the time?
I still do.
You do?
I still do.
So you get put on the fire all the time. I mean, you seem like as much as I've known you for the last 2 years, a very calm, laid back. Have you always been that way?
Oh no, and I'm really, I internalized far too much. It's taken a toll on my health over
Really?
many years, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but because you seem very calm, cool, and collected.
I've always had an outlet when I get out of here. It's important to have an outlet, because I can't be emotional sitting here. I can't be a hothead in this job. It doesn't benefit me or anyone else that I work with.
That's interesting. I never thought of that way. So you have some place that you maybe not be running or something like that, but you have an outlet.
Oh yeah, I take my dog for walks after work, or when I was younger, I played basketball or officiated or coached. Just something. Even now, it's like go hiking or whatever, just to get. It helps me clear my head.
For the last 2 years, I've never seen you lose your cool.
Oh,
Have you ever?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I just keep it in check so it's not as visible. But there have been occasions I've gotten
Really?
quite fired up here. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for you because you just seem to have it in check. You've mentioned this, but what skills did you develop early in your career that helped you to be as productive as you are?
Organized. I was always pretty well organized. I was always able to like figure out what needed to get done and what was the most efficient way of doing it.
Okay.
And so I think that was the skill that kind of led me or opened the doors for my ability to like promote up.
So do you think, obviously your experience sounds like it, I mean, it's nice to have that career and everybody wants to see that career on your resume, but it seems to me like it's more of your experience and the more that you've taught yourself how to, is that a correct way to analyze that?
Yeah, but you know, a lot of it, yeah, both. But I've taught myself, but at the same time I've been able to learn what was expected of me.
Okay. What is your greatest career strength as the director? It can be here or in California.
Letting my team work, do the job. I'm not a micromanager. I never have been.
Yes.
That's how I feel that's how you get the most out of people, as opposed to hovering over them or putting them in a position where they're always walking on eggshells or, you know, not wanting to take chances, not wanting to think outside the box for fear of being ridiculed or minimized or criticized or whatever. I've run across too many people that said, not just here but in other agencies, you know, previous directors were that way, and people were afraid to get creative, do programming, weren't looking forward to coming into their jobs. So it was just that's just kind of always been my nature, and it seems to have worked wherever I've been.
So it's always been your nature. You've never felt like you've had to be this strong.
There've been organizations where I didn't have the best of teams, where I had to be more on top of them. But even then, I you know, kind of would encourage them to take chances and you know, get creative. But I've had weaker teams where I had to spend a lot more time overseeing direct day-to-day stuff.
Would you consider your team now the best one you've ever had?
They're all different.
Okay.
They're all different.
Different in what ways? Just
different personalities, different areas of responsibilities. I mean, I don't have parks here. I don't have park design. I don't have planning. I don't have street tree maintenance. So they're kind of hard to compare because they're different.
And you had that in California.
Yeah, I've had parks underneath me. I've had, when I was in Santa Barbara County, I had law enforcement under me. I had rangers. I had park rangers that were under me that were deputized. I had was in charge of the street tree program for a couple agencies.
Street meaning gang kind of a thing?
No, street trees.
Street trees.
The community tree programs.
Okay. You don't have that. We don't have that here?
They're under Public Works.
Oh, that's good to know. I did not know that. And a lot of times I send to Sean Gonzalez and they want to plant trees and things like that here.
If it's within a park or something, it's different than those that are on a street right away, a street tree.
Oh, okay.
Which we don't really have a lot of street trees in Las Vegas.
Okay, that makes sense. But in California, you did. Okay. How has this industry changed since you started?
Everything, more computerized. I mean, everything relies on computers, just like every other aspect of life.
Okay. And
then just different trends in programming. Seniors are more active now than they were 30 years ago. So you've had to adapt what kind of programming you offer.
Right. Okay. What organizational challenges have you been faced with?
Organizational, like downsizing. I think during the recession in 2008.
Yeah, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, 2008. Okay. When the economy tanked, how we were going to try. I was at Santa Barbara County at the time.
Yeah.
And we had our budget cut by about 20%, and so we had to get creative how we restructured and handled retirements and moved people around to keep anybody that was actually on staff from losing their jobs.
Were you successful at that, or did you have to let people go?
No, we restructured. We kept vacancies. We had some retirements, kept those vacant, restructured the way the work crews worked, as opposed to from park-based, they turned them into crew area-based. So instead of these individual rangers taking care of their parks, we created teams that would go and do work. So things were actually able to get done faster, because before we had to wait to see what was breaking down. You only had one ranger and everybody was doing their own stuff. But when we restructured, we were able to put together a calendar. It's like, all right, this crew's going to work here on these dates on this project. Then they're going to go do this. Then they're going to go do that. We didn't lose anybody. We didn't have to lay off anybody. we had to get, we had to hold off on equipment and things like that, but, yes.
It's an hour of my time I'm never gonna get back.
We'll resume. Okay. I wanted to ask you, for my benefit, is what professional associations are you a member of? Like, I know NRPA.
NRPA, NRPS, CPRS.
What is CPRS?
California
Oh,
Parks and Rec.
okay. And how can those benefit me? Because I am a member of the NRPA.
In-service trainings, publications,
Okay.
educational opportunities.
It is my hope in this next year to maybe be, I don't know how that works, to be a member of one of the programs, to maybe just see how one works in one of the centers, if that's possible.
I don't know how, apart from volunteering at those programs.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay. Would that help me understand how those things
the
are
field
done?
operations, yeah, sure. You'll
Okay.
be exposed out there with what's going on and how to put together.
How about they are building a park by me? Could I follow the building and how they do that and what is entailed
park?
in this? It's up at the south by Blue Diamond. South Ridge, I believe it's called.
I don't know who the man, we'll talk to.
Justin?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I do that
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah, just
and
to find out
maybe
what's
visit
going
and things
on.
like okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to, just because I'd like to maybe create something, program maybe, just to see it through, and I'm not sure what that entails. So would that be something that would benefit me, do you think?
I think getting out there definitely would, so you have a more in-depth understanding of how the organization itself works. Parks and
Okay.
Rec is kind of a unique creature compared to
Yeah.
a lot of the other departments.
Okay. Well, I already know what projects you're in charge of everything. And you've answered this question, how important it is to delegate. That's how you've lived, is delegating. It's so important. And I ask you about the organizations. I should be NRPA and NRPS, and perhaps maybe is it worth the money of the department to send me to one of these conferences, or is that need to
Typically, you
be
want to send the field staff, like supervisors, rec specs, the people that are actually doing the actual hands-on day-to-day. And we don't get to send a lot of people to those things.
Right.
We only get to send 3 or 4 at the
Right.
time, so.
Okay.
I kind of have to prioritize who goes to those things.
Of course. Let's see. Here's a good one. What keeps you up at night about your job?
Everything I'm going to deal with the next day, especially a lot of the political stuff that takes place.
So political, it really is very politically ran.
Yeah.
And
at this level, the job is almost at least a third of my time, if not more than that, is dealing with politics.
And you have to play the game.
Yeah, whether it's with the elected officials or the sixth floor. It's politics.
Do you ever feel like in your personal life and the way you are that your integrity is ever on the line?
Not so much. I don't have, my integrity is pretty consistent, so it's not like there's anything I do that would even put me in a position of getting in trouble at work.
Yeah.
I try to separate the two as much as possible.
Just wondering, like they could come back at you and blame you, throw you under the bus kind of a thing.
That's why I document everything.
Okay. And you're very self-sufficient in that.
Yeah, I keep very thorough records just to make sure everything that protects the organization, protects me, protects the electeds, whatever.
Okay. And you love this. You wouldn't go to do, is there any other dream job you would have wanted to do in your life?
No, I don't know. Yeah, after Parks and Rec, I'm just going to go into consulting, and even that's going to be kind of Parks and Rec related.
Yeah.
Whether it's a headhunter firm for Parks and Rec directors, or doing consulting with communities on Parks and Rec or emergency service issues.
That's awesome, Dan. One more question. After I get this degree, there's a few that have gotten, I'm not sure what it is, and you have it too. CPA? No? You can put it behind your name. Mindy has it.
Oh, CPRP? I don't
Yes.
have it. Certified Parks and Recreation Professional.
What does that entail? Do you know?
I've never had it. They'd be the ones that talk to you about it. It's a nice, it's a good perk that the NRPA puts out.
Okay.
It's pretty labor intensive. You have to do a lot of continuing education stuff. It's a good career professional. California, during my rise of my career, we weren't very, because we were so large, yeah, we were part of the national organization, but most of the other states, the CPRP was more of a priority than most agencies in California. If you go to certain other states, they kind of require it as part of, that CPRP is preferred for, jobs for directors or whatever, or upper management. Not so much in California. So I never felt that really a need
to do that.
To do it.
That's awesome.
Plus, a lot of my training is separate from that. A lot of the things that I have background education, and especially in California, is emergency services. So we were focused a lot on, our roles in the event of major disasters or major events. And we had a lot out there. So we were cross-trained with FEMA, Red Cross, California Office of Emergency Services.
Okay.
With other shelter operations, damage assessment, mass care.
Wow.
Feeding.
You had a lot of that. Did you ever have in there homeless living in your parks too?
Yeah.
Were you ever to?
It hasn't been as bad as it has been in the last 3-4 years ever. But yeah, we've always had those situations at other parks.
That's awesome. Dan, that's all I have. I really appreciate you talking to me about this.
Oh, sure. No, that's easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.